All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful systems in your entire body, your brain's ancient, hardwired panic button. We're about to map the exact neurological pathways that trigger it. And this is the important part. I'm going to show you exactly how to hijack that system to reclaim your calm.
Just let that sink in for a second. The very system that can seize total control of your body and your mind, the one driving all that anxiety and panic, is running on software designed for a world of saber-toothed tigers. It's a perfect system for an environment that is long, long gone. And understanding that incredible paradox is the absolute key to mastering it.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with this outdated alarm and figure out why it malfunctions so often today. Then we're going to trace the exact panic pathway in your brain and uncover its primal logic, why it exists at all. After that, we get to the practical stuff, how to hijack your own panic button. And we'll wrap up by reframing anxiety. Maybe not as your enemy, but as a loyal protector. So let's start with this core idea. Just imagine your brain is the most advanced piece of hardware you can possibly think of, but a really critical piece of its survival software hasn't had an update in 50,000 years. That, right there, is your fight or flight response.
I mean, we've all felt it, right? That sudden jolt. Your heart starts pounding, your shoulders tense up, and your mind either goes completely blank or just starts racing with 1,000 thoughts at once. This isn't some flaw in your character. It's a very carefully designed survival program kicking into gear. It's basically a state of emergency being declared inside your own body.
So if this system is so perfectly designed for survival, why does it feel so awful so much of the time? Well, that leads us right to the central problem, what I call the modern malfunction. See, the alarm isn't broken, it's just ringing for all the wrong reasons.
This, right here, is the brain's biggest blind spot. To your ancient survival system, there is literally no difference between a tiger lurking in the grass and a critical email from your boss. One is a genuine life or death threat, the other is just symbolic. But neurologically, they trigger the exact same overwhelming physical response. Your brain just can't tell the difference. And when that alarm is ringing constantly for threats that aren't actually lethal, it comes at a huge long-term cost. It's called allostatic load. Think of it like the slow, cumulative wear and tear on your body and brain from being in a constant state of emergency. This prolonged exposure to stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline literally degrades the very parts of your brain you need for clear thinking and emotional control. It turns a brilliant short-term survival tool into a long-term health disaster.
So what's actually happening in the heat of the moment? Well, when that panic button gets pushed, your brain makes an executive decision. It immediately reroutes power, cranking up your emotional alarm center, the amygdala, to 90%, while shutting down your rational, logical prefrontal cortex to like 10%. Blood literally flows away from the front of your brain to your limbs. And why? Because when you're facing a tiger, you do not have time to think. You need to act. Planning suddenly becomes a liability.
Okay, so how does this happen so unbelievably fast? How does raw emotion completely bypass logic in a split second? Well, let's trace the steps of this neurological heist.
First, you gotta meet the mastermind, the amygdala. Now, this is not the part of your brain that thinks. It's a rapid pattern-matching machine. It is constantly scanning all the incoming sensory data and checking it against this huge library of emotional memories, asking one simple question over and over and over. Is this a threat? So here's how the information travels. When any sensory data, what you see, what you hear, enters your brain, it hits a relay station called the thalamus. From there, the signal splits and takes two roads at the same time. The high road is the slow, careful, scenic route. It sends data to your prefrontal cortex for detailed analysis. But the low road, that's a direct, high-speed expressway straight to the amygdala. And because that low road is so much faster, your amygdala can sound the alarm and trigger a full-body response before your conscious brain even knows what's going on. That, my friends, is the amygdala hijack.
The moment the amygdala pulls that fire alarm, a chemical cascade is unleashed. Within seconds, your sympathetic nervous system, think of it as your body's gas pedal, activates, flooding you with adrenaline. That's that immediate jolt. But if the brain thinks the threat is still there, a second, slower wave follows. This is your HPA-Axis, your long-term stress system, and it releases cortisol. Cortisol is what keeps you on high alert for minutes or even hours, sustaining that state of emergency.
Now, I know this might sound like a terribly designed system, but there is a profound, primal logic behind it all. It was designed this way for a very, very good reason.
It all comes down to a really simple evolutionary principle. It's much better to be wrong and alive than to be right and dead. It's far safer to mistake a stick for a snake 100 times than it is to mistake a snake for a stick just once. That tiny difference in speed between the low road and the high road is everything. Your brain is hardwired to choose a fast, life-saving reaction over a slow, perfectly accurate one every single time.
And here's the tricky part. This is how the system gets stronger and more sensitive over time. It's a process called fear conditioning. So every time you panic in response to a trigger, let's say public speaking, and then you escape that situation, the wave of relief you feel acts as a powerful reward. It basically teaches your amygdala, see, that was dangerous and we avoided it, we survived. This reinforces the fear, it strengthens that neural pathway, and it makes it even more likely to fire the next time.
Okay, we've mapped the problem, we've traced the pathway, and we understand the logic. Now for the most important part, how do we take back control? Let's talk about the manual override for this ancient system.
Now, the most important thing to remember is this. You cannot outthink an amygdala hijack. You just can't. Trying to use logic when your rational brain is offline is like trying to reason with a smoke detector that's blaring. The goal isn't to fight the feeling, but to work with your body's biology. You have to send clear, powerful, physical signals of safety directly to your ancient brain to convince it that the emergency is over.
And the most direct way to do that is by activating your vagus nerve. This nerve acts as the primary brake for your fight or flight system. You can do this manually with paced breathing. Let's try it right now. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, and this is the key, exhale slowly like you're breathing through a straw for a count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That long exhale physically stimulates the vagus nerve, sending a direct signal to your brain that says, "We are safe." It literally tells your heart to slow down, and it calms the entire system. Now, while you're calming your body with your breath, you can start to bring your rational brain back online with a simple technique called cognitive reframing. Instead of thinking, "Oh no, I'm panicking," try this phrase on for size. My body is initiating a powerful defense protocol. This energy is protection, not disaster. This simple shift in language changes the entire story from one of being broken to one of being protected, and that helps to re-engage your prefrontal cortex. So let's just recap the 3 core tools in your new toolkit. First, vagal nerve activation. Use that paced breathing, the long exhale, to physically calm your body. Second, cognitive reframing. Deliberately relabel the feeling. You name it to tame it. Acknowledge that your body is having a protective response to a non-lethal trigger. And third, for the long term, there's behavioral intervention. This just means gradually and safely exposing yourself to your triggers, which slowly provides your brain with new evidence that you are in fact safe, retraining that amygdala over time. So let's bring all this together with one final and I think really powerful shift in perspective. This is about changing your entire relationship with the feeling of anxiety itself. If you remember only one thing from our time together, please let it be this. That overwhelming feeling of anxiety, that stress that you feel, is sabotaging you. It is not a personal failure. It is not a weakness. It is the sound of a loyal, ancient, and incredibly powerful protector doing its job perfectly. It's just based on some really outdated information. So I'll just leave you with this question. What if you chose to see your anxiety not as a malfunction you need to fix, but as the echo of an ancient strength, a powerful survival instinct that, with a little understanding and the right tools, you can learn to honor, to regulate, and ultimately, to lead?